all of just, all of your dreams are below. And it's like you're standing there and you're like, you know what? I can stay here and be comfortable, or I can make that plunge and jump and live my dream life.
On today's show, we talk about the business of snow cones with Roxanne Saldana. She is an educator with 21 years experience, currently a counselor at the Duncanville ISD. She's working on her second master's for professional counseling. She's also a vegan. But today we want to talk with her about her business, which is Snow on the Rocks. This is a vegan snowball and salsa business located at Grow Desoto Marketplace in DeSoto, Texas. And that's what we are talking with her about on today. This is actually a two-part episode. Today's episode is part one of that, in which we talk with her in regards to her business. We talk with her about various things on this episode in regards to the business idea, the business name, why sell snow cones. We also talked about our backstory, in which I have a backstory, or my family has a backstory with her family, actually, customer service marketing, and also we talked about what is the greatest highlight for her business. But before we get into the show's details today, we want to acknowledge our sponsor for this show today, and that's Hill Realty Group. Hill Realty Group is a real estate company that serves the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Hill Realty Group is ready to support you in regard to all of your real estate needs, whether you're looking to purchase your first home or sell your current property. Contact them today at www.hillrealtygroup.net. You can also call at 214-502-9735 and ask for Latasha Hill. Hill Realty Group, making people happy and changing lives. Now let's get into today's show.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm honored to be a part of this, and to be a part of your first show is a huge honor. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for coming. I certainly appreciate it. And we have a short, long history, so it's awesome. But we just want to talk to you today about this great Snow on the Rocks. Okay, and so every business, it starts with an idea, and of course, 3 years ago, you came up with this idea of Snow on the Rocks. You got about 19 years in education at this time, and so you have this idea to start this business. So I guess just, for our listeners, tell us what's going on and how you came up with this idea of Snow on the Rocks.
Well, first of all, let's say that I'm not one of those people that fears change. So I'm always down for an adventure. And it was crazy. And we're driving down the road, and we're always teaching our kids about starting their own business. And we were talking to our son about, if you've got $50,000 to go to college, it's not even going to pay for all of your school. But what if you had this really great idea and you take that $50,000 and you invest it in a business, and you are your own boss? You have other people working for you, making money for you. And I'm like, here I am, 2 degrees in, thinking about getting another degree at that point. I wasn't even back in school for my third degree yet. And I'm like, I need to put my money where my mouth is. I'm teaching my kids that they need to start their own business. And I'm out here working for somebody else and putting all my money into college, and while I would never undo, the degrees that I have, I needed to show them and not just talk about it, be about it, not talk about it.
Right, right.
So we're driving down the highway, and I'm just flipping through Craigslist, and I see this trailer, and it was a cupcake trailer in Fort Worth. And I was like, let's go look at this trailer in Fort Worth. And
You
so
said
we drove out.
cupcake trailer?
It was a cupcake trailer. Yeah. So we
Okay.
drive to Fort Worth, and this man is selling this trailer, and he had, a set price on it. And I'm like, well, what if I give you this much? He's like, let me call my wife. He calls his wife. She gives him the thumbs up. And the next day we drove out there with the truck and picked it up and dragged it back to our house. And I'm like, we're going to have a snow cone business. I had friends that had snow cone businesses who for years were like, you should totally do this. This is fun. and it's a great way to make some extra money, and which I'm always down to make some extra money, and I really do love working.
Hmm.
And so that was the beginning of it. We drove it home, and my mind just starts going crazy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just paid all this money for this trailer. Like I just made a real commitment. I got to show my kids how to start a business. I had no idea what I was doing, no idea what I was getting myself into, but I did know that I wanted to do something different than anybody else was doing around me. So even my friends who had snow cone businesses, I wanted to do something different, use different products, kind of like make it my own.
Gotcha. And so you already just knew from the jump that it was going to be a snow cone business.
I knew it was going to be a snow cone business. I'm a snow connoisseur, I call it. I love a good snow cone. I really do. I've always loved them, but I really didn't realize that how much I loved them until I started this business, and I was looking back. I'm like, I used to wait in line at that place, and we would go out to this place. Like I've always loved snow cones and popsicles and cold treats like that. Not ice cream. I'm not an ice cream person. Never have been, but I've always been a snow cone girl. Coconut. Coconut was like my original jam. Blue coconut with cream. That was the OG snow cone that was my go-to back in the day.
Yeah, I think for a lot of us, coconut was like one of the originals, I guess. Because we I know when I was younger, that was like one of the favorites to go to the truck. But of course, those were just it was just ice and some kind of syrup, a little different, or I'll say a lot different than what you serve. So you already had this idea that I'm gonna do a snow cone business. I got this trailer, and I got this idea that I'm going to do snow cones. That's pretty amazing that you already had that in mind. And so I guess the next thing that I would like to know, or that, for the listeners, you got to have a good business name. So how did you come up with the name of this business?
So it's Snow on the Rocks, ROX, because Roxanne. Um, the way back when I was, in college or even maybe before then, I would always say, yeah, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to have this bar and it's going to be called On the Rocks, like you
Mhm.
order a drink on the rocks. And um, so fast forward and I start this business and I'm like, well, I always said I was going to have a business called On the Rocks, but I should incorporate alcohol into my snow cones, where people can like order a snow cone with like a little extra something. Well, alcohol licenses are so expensive, plus the liability that you take on by serving alcohol, and people are
Mhm.
driving and I mean, usually people buy snow cones and get in their car and drive off. They're not going to stand in 110 degrees and eat their snow cone. So, and then I ended up quitting drinking years later. And so that kind of removed it off the table. But I was like, well, my snow is actually like snow. So, from coming to my snow cone stand that my machine makes the fluffiest, powderiest,
Oh
most
yeah.
perfect snow. So I was like, this isn't like ice, crunchy ice. This is snow. So let's do snow on the rocks. So that's kind of how it came up. I came up with it. It was something old in my mind that I thought that one day I might open this bar, but I knew, once I went to school, opening a bar was off the table. And
Mhm.
the hours for owning a bar, it wasn't anything that I really wanted to do. It was just something I talked about.
And so you got this good name, Snow on the Rocks,
Mhm.
and you got this idea of selling great snow cones.
And I had this really cute logo idea, and I met with an artist, and they created the logo for me, based on my vision.
Yeah, which is pretty neat, by the way.
Thank
I
you. I
like that
love
as
it.
well.
I
Yeah, it's definitely eye catching, and it
Thank
makes you
you.
think. It's like, huh, okay, let's go check out this place.
Yeah.
And so I have to ask. Of course, in business, there's always a good idea. Every business starts with a good idea. Of course, you got to have a good name. but there's always the doubt, the fear, and of course, for some of us, there are people that say, hey, I don't know if that's a good idea. So were there any doubts or fear or anything like that into this idea, like, you saying, hey, you know what, I want to do this, but I don't know, were there any moments like that where you
Oh, oh my, I still have those doubts. I mean, every business owner wakes up every morning and is like, what am I doing? What did I get myself into? Like, it would be abnormal to not have those fears and to second guess yourself. So of course, I mean, I still have those thoughts, and I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to do this today, and I've got to answer these messages and do all of these things, and it's like, can I do it? And of course, as a business owner, you have to say yes. Like, this is great. And if you believe in what you're doing and you know that you're bringing something to the table that nobody else is bringing, like, you're going to do it because you know that you're onto something. Um, but even naysayers, um, of course, there's fear even for the people around you, like my parents. I'm very close to my parents. I'm an only child. And so even with them, they were like, what? You're going to start a snow cone business? And I had talked to them about it before, but when I'm like, yo, I'm starting this business, like, let's let's roll with me here, roll with me because it's happening. Um, but yes, for sure there are those days, and still I have those days, and I think every business owner does, where they wake up and they're just kind of can't believe that they've actually made this commitment. But it's like, am I
uh-huh.
gonna sink or am I gonna swim? I mean, I don't have time to sink. I'm swimming and I'm going and I'm moving forward. I'm not gonna look back. So I think you just kind of have to constantly tell yourself, move, get up, go. You got stuff to do, and there's never a moment to rest. Because if you're resting, then somebody else out there who has a business that's similar to yours is not resting. They're working, and so you never want to give anybody else the edge.
That's a very important point, and actually, I have that as the number one. I have like this list of business skills, or maybe not business skills, but just skills in general that you need to have when you are going to start a business. The number one thing that I state is that you have to believe in yourself, because
Mhm.
that's where it all starts. You got to believe in yourself. If you don't, nothing's going to go. It's not going to happen.
Exactly.
And so let me ask you this. So were there anyone that said, "Hey, why snow cones? You want to sell snow cones? Why not do this?" Was there anybody that wanted to maybe change your mind or say, "What? Maybe you should sell this, or maybe you should sell that."
Um, People come to me sometimes and they're like, "Have you ever thought about this or thought about that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've thought about it, or I will think about it." I just want to make sure that every single thing that I do in that snow cone trailer, that I actually believe in it, and I think it's the very best that you can get of whatever it is. So, like, I think my snow cones are the best that you can get. And I go to every single snow cone stand that I see, and I make sure that I try every snow cone that I see, so that I know that, oh, well, mine's better. Or they're doing this really well. I should look at this in my business. I mean, I'm very competitive. But as far as like people saying, well, don't do snow cones, do this, I'm naturally a counselor. Just that's who I am, as even as a friend or in any role. I naturally like connect with people. And so people were just like, what is she doing? Like, why is she's got a career. Why aren't you happy in what you're doing already? You've got a master's degree, like, you're doing all of these things. Why do you want to sell snow cones?
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not always down for a challenge, and so that's kind of what it came down to, is like, I have to teach my kids something different. I have to show them there are other options, and I want to see what I can do. I really want to see what I'm capable of doing. My mom was a counselor. She's a retired counselor, and so that's kind of what I saw. I wanted to
Mhm.
see, like, is there something else for me?
Right.
And so
Right. And so you just basically you pursue your passions, because if you don't, you always have that. well, man, if I had a did this, I probably could have did this. So for yourself, you don't have those what if I had a, or what ifs because you're actually doing it.
You know what? That's funny that you said that. I have this list in my office at the school where I have like things to live by. And one of mine on there is no what ifs. If we
I love that.
constantly live with this thought of, well, what if this and what if that, what if that, then we'll do nothing because we get trapped inside our thoughts. And I always tell people it's almost like you're standing on the edge of this cliff, and everything up at the top of the cliff is very comfortable. You're safe, you're on solid ground, you know what's there. Everything is very concrete and comfortable. But when you look down on the edge of that cliff, you see this crystal clear blue water, and you see like a beach off in the distance with white sand, and you see all of just all of your dreams are below. And it's like you're standing there and you're like, you know what? I can stay here and be comfortable, or I can make that plunge and jump and live my dream life, And it's like, it's scary to like leave the comfortability behind you. But once you jump, it's like you're on the way to like reaching that vision that you have for yourself of what your perfect life can look like. But if you don't ever jump, then you'll never know and you're never going to get there.
That's so true. And great points because that's something else that as a business owner or somebody in business, you gotta get out your comfort zone. And I'm pretty sure you've had those moments. Well, I know you're experiencing because you're actually doing it. And even for myself, you have to get out of your comfort zone. There are going to be things that going to make you uncomfortable as a business owner. But like you said, if you don't take that plunge, you'll never know. And so that brings me to our next point that we want to talk about, and it's those snow cones. You do have a very unique product because it's vegan. And like we discussed previously, if I hear vegan, I'm not a vegan, I know you are, but if I hear the word vegan, somebody selling vegan, I'm going to think that, oh man, they've taken this out. It's not going to taste good. It's a turn off.
It's a
And so,
major turn off for people.
yeah. And so they have to, of course, they have to, try it to see for themselves. But how did you perfect these snow cones?
Well, um, I just feel like well, first of all, I bought the best machine that I could get. I have an amazing machine that makes real snow. And when I started the business in 2018 is when um, I purchased and started my LLC, or I got my LLC in 2018. And I did not start as a vegan business. I was vegetarian at the time. I had tried to become vegan and I failed. It was hard for me. And I had some health issues that came out of it. And so I had to take some steps back and kind of like go into it slowly. But I started off I had a really great machine. And I found a distributor of some syrups, like some concentrates that I started working with, but I was making my own syrup. And so then whenever I did become vegan, or I went straight more vegetarian, where I was like just cutting out more and more things, I just started researching and I'm like, you know what? I need my business to reflect who I am. It's basically like part of your brand needs to be that your business is you. And so I started researching and I found out that sugar is dyed with bone char. Did you know that?
I did not.
Sugar is bleached using bone char from animal bones. So I was like, well, I need to like research. And so I started using sugar from that did not use bone char to bleach it. And then I was like, well, I don't eat cream. I don't buy dairy products for my household. What can I do to modify the cream that people put on their snow cones? So I changed to oat cream, and oat cream is like the big trend now. And at the beginning I was using almond cream, but now I use oat cream. And then I started kind of just getting more and more creative and kind of branching out, and I did started adding mangoes and strawberries as toppings, and then we added coconut whipped cream, and so it's kind of grown. And we put tahine and chamoy, and we do a lot of really interesting toppings, and so that kind of gave us an edge. It made us be doing something different that everybody else isn't.
Right, and I think that's good because in a business you have to have something unique because, like you said, you got competitors out there, and I think well, I've heard and I've read, and it's true that your business you have to have something unique about your business, and so your business has to be unique. Of course, this is very unique because, like I said, you got all these vegan flavors, but they're really good. They're really
Thank
good.
you.
And I'll even say that we've tried your sugar free, and
Those
that
are
is
the
even good.
good.
I've tasted a lot of sugar free products, and it's like you can tell that it's like okay, nah, it's got this weird aftertaste, but I'm honestly telling you, I've tasted your sugar free, and it's very good.
Yeah, I've got people who come for those sugar-free snow cones every week, and actually, that was kind of my first snow cone that I used to eat. My favorite was the sugar-free tiger's blood with pickles. Oh my gosh, it's so good, and you don't have to feel guilty.
That's true, that's true, and see, I guess that's something else for people out there that can't eat sugar, that, their bodies maybe can't take it. You have, a market or you have a section of people out there that you can market your product to, so that's pretty
Right, and
amazing, and
even
so
people who aren't vegan, there are a lot of people who are dairy free because they have dairy allergies. So they can come and get snow cones from me also because they can add the cream and all the different things and not have any dairy, which if you go somewhere else and you get cream on your snow cone, it's going to have dairy.
true.
So it's kind of it's not just a vegan market, and I agree because I was not vegan for a long time and it was a turn off for me as well. I'm like, ugh, vegan. I'll never be vegan. And so I do understand from a different perspective, but I knew that I was onto something because we would be at home and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I need a snow cone." Like I want them all the time. Like I still do. Sometimes it'll be 10 o'clock at night and I'm like, "Does anybody want to go get a snow cone?" And we'll drive to the snow cone stand just for a snow cone at 10 o'clock at night. So, I mean, they're that good, and so I'm like, I just have to get them in people's mouths. Once they try it, they're gonna be like, "Sold."
Right. Oh, yeah, we were sold as well, and so I wanna back up to something you said in
Mhm.
regard to, your competitors. So you did some research on your products and just trying to perfect your products. That's what you said, right? You did
Right.
research.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, every time I see another snow cone stand, I'm stopping. I'm getting a snow cone. I wanna see what they're doing.
Right, and that's important because you need to see what your competitors are doing out there. You wanna see what they do right. It's not that,
Oh,
uh,
for
it's
sure.
right. It's not that you're a spy, but at the same time you have to because it's like you want to see well what are they doing good, what are they doing well because the market is competitive, and so why not look and see what they're doing, how you can perfect yours, and not only that, how you can make it better. So yeah, I think
Right. I mean, I there are some snow cone stands and I'm like, "Oh, they have a really good snow cone, but I don't like how they do this," or I wish that they did this, and so then I can incorporate those things into my plan. I've been making some of my own flavors. So like in the summer, I do a hibiscus mint that I make from scratch. I make because I use concentrates. Now I make the syrup, but I do use concentrates for most of my flavors. But I do a hibiscus mint, and I also did a Mexican vanilla lemon this summer, which were big hits. And this summer, I am going to be rolling out a green tea snow cone.
oh wow.
Yeah.
Sounds interesting. My favorite, of course, is the tutti frutti with banana. Actually, I have one in the freezer right now
Oh,
that I
you
haven't
do?
eaten. Yes, I do. We haven't eaten it yet, but it's in the freezer right now. So my wife, she likes the wedding cake and what?
Blackberry.
That's the one, the
Yeah,
wedding cake and
she's into
blackberry.
that. And that started, I gave her a little sample one day and she's like, oh my gosh.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
she digs that wedding cake in blackberry.
yes. That is pretty good too.
It
Actually,
is good.
I try to join her sometimes on hers, but she says, "Hey, you have your own. Go eat your own." So,
Right.
but
I always hear her say, "Now this is mine. You're not eating this."
yes, and so and so yes, so I think that's important, and I think I'll talk about now how I discovered the snow on the rocks.
Yeah, tell
Okay,
me. I want to know.
so we had a friend, and shout out to our friend UT, right? She went to this. I
Mhm.
mean, she knows we like snow cones. We try different snow cones or whatever. And so she goes to, she goes to your snow on the rocks, and she tries these snow cones, and she sends us a picture of her, and she's got the snow cone in hand. She say, "Hey, you guys need to go." Well, she sent it to my wife. She said, "Hey, you need to go check out this snow cone place. It's pretty good." In so many words, and it was just a picture of her. She had this snow cone in her hand. And actually, I think you may have even shared it or something. I don't know. She may have tagged the business or something. But anyway, she sent it to my wife, and she's like, "Okay, we got to go try this snow cone place." So my wife goes, and she tries your snow cones, and she's pretty much hooked on them. She's trying them, and of course, then she invites me. She's like, "Hey, I'm going to get a snow cone. You want to go?" And at first I was like, "Well, no, okay, just bring me something back." And then, of course, I start taking the trips with her to the snow cone place, and we just kind of hit it off because you guys are very nice, great customer service.
Thank you.
And so we're like going every 2 or 3 days, right, to the snow cone place. It's like, hey, we're going to the snow cone. It was
Yeah.
it was
I
just
want
really
those
good.
flyers for sure.
Yes. And so we're pretty much sold on them or hooked on them. And so um I one day, because I started to, or we started to follow, we started to follow you on social media because, of course, my wife is trying to find out, okay, when is she open? Because your day, you have those custom hours sometimes.
I
If it was
do.
raining or if it was cold, you would put out,
Right.
hey, I'll be open at this time. So we're following you on social media, and so I'm scrolling through, some of
My
your
post.
pages. Yeah, some of
Mhm.
your posts. I'm looking at the different photos, of course, nice photos of people, just enjoying their snow cones. And so I'm looking at this one photo and I say, wait a minute here. It's like, uh, I see a picture. It's a picture of you. It's a picture of your mom, a picture of your dad, and a picture of your son. And I'm saying, wait a minute. I know this man. I know this man. Where do I know him from? And so I get to looking at it and say, wait a minute, that he looks like our neighbor. And so we've moved, and we've been in where we're at now for about 3 to 4 years now. But of course, we moved from where we're at. We're still in the same city, Cedar Hill. We're still in the same area, but we just moved to a different location down the road, I guess you could say. And
Um,
so I'm saying that's our neighbor that we used to live like a house next door to. I mean,
yeah.
and I'm like, that's him. And so, and when we get back to visiting you guys again on one of our trips to the Snowcone place, we get to talking to you guys. I'm like, hey, you know what? You guys used to be our neighbors. And so we get to talking. Of course, we talk to your mom. She's like, that's right. And so lo and behold, we find out, small world, that we used to be neighbors. Who would have known that I would be neighbors next to the great Snow on the Rocks, Roxanne? So I think that's a pretty unique story.
That's funny. Yeah. And so then we would refer to y'all as the neighbors.
Yeah.
We'd be like, I'd be like, Mom, the neighbors are coming to pick up some salsa. She just messaged me.
Yes. Yes. And so I think that's important just to note because I mean, I think it's a very unique story. Of course, it's a small world
Oh,
out
so
there.
small world. Such a small
Yeah. And especially with social media. But I think important for business, you just never know. Word of mouth, it really travels. And like I said, it's a small world. Excellent customer service goes a long way. I mean, who would ever thought that, just by one friend putting a picture out there, we would be coming together. And now look today, we're actually on a podcast together. So it
at us. Look at us
yeah.
growing. It's crazy. I mean, relationships are so important, like just in life. I mean, in everything that we do, I think relationships are everything. I mean, like you said, the customer service.
Hmm.
I've always felt like I wanted to be like the Chick-fil-A of snow cone stands. Chick-fil-A, I mean, right? I mean, who can argue that anybody else has better customer service?
No one. Yes,
I
I've
mean,
never had a problem.
no, I mean, and they're like, "Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Let me help you. Our pleasure." Like, I love that, and nobody is turned. That's such a. It's like magnetic. You want to go back there because you're not going to have any problems. It's like I'm going to be in, I'm going to be out, I'm going to get what I love and what I like, a product that I like, and they're going to be nice. You know, Count me in. And so I kind of wanted to mirror that idea, and not because, but I don't want to put on a show. I
Hmm.
want it to be authentic. Like I want to build relationships with my customers. I want them to want to come back, not just for my fabulous snow cones and salsa, but because of me and because of the energy that they get when they come. I want everybody to leave like feeling like they connected in a positive way.
Exactly, and that's so important. Customer service is so important, and like you said, Chick-fil-A, it's like it's a magnet, and it's like even if you have a problem, it's like they're gonna fix it. But that's what draws you back to Chick-fil-A. I mean, they have good food, they do, but it's that customer service. It's like, and it never fails. No matter what Chick-fil-A I pass by, those lines are long, and it has to be that their approach to customer service. So yes, you hit some very important points,
Yeah,
and
they're
that is
so
something.
good. I mean, they're efficient, but if they mess up, they fix it, like you said. And same thing with a snow cone. I mean, who gets sad about a snow cone?
Right.
Nobody. And if somebody's sad about it, like give it back and let me make you another one.
That's so important that in a
Yeah,
business you have great customer service. I've told people that listen, even if you don't have all the business smarts, if you can provide excellent customer service, you're going to be ahead of so many competitors you won't even believe.
that's
So it's
right.
so important.
Right. People want to support people they like
Hmm.
and that they can connect with. And if there's no connection, and if you dismiss people, then why would I want to go back? I mean, I'd rather go find somebody who I can, connect with. I want to connect. It's human nature to want to connect with other human beings.
Which takes me to the next note that I want to bring up, which is marketing. Of course, you've celebrated 1,000 followers. I know some people may say, "Well, there are people that's got 10,000 followers," but you got to
Right.
start. You got to start somewhere. And I
Yeah,
know you didn't start out with 1,000 followers, so
I didn't.
you must be doing
No.
something right.
And my goal was that by the end of the season, I would hit 1,000 followers, but I always wanted them to be genuine and not, I don't want to pay for followers. Because you know what? If I've got 15,000 followers, but I've only got 10 customers, what are the other, you know, 14,985 people? What do they do for me?
Exactly.
Nothing. They don't build my business. I want people who are sharing, spreading the word, people who are actually my customers so that I can share my information with the people who really want to come out. It doesn't that number, while I'm honored to have, 1,000, I think I'm almost at 1,100. But while that number doesn't, well, it's great, and it doesn't really reflect my business.
Correct. Right. You got to, I think you have a lot of people that love your products, of course.
Mhm.
But I think too, at the same time, that is something that, you can be proud of. And I know you're still wanting to grow even further than that. But
Me too.
uh, it just goes along to say that, I think your approach to it is you want to, like you said, you want to be authentic. You want to just have people share these stories about these great snow cones, or just, hey, take a picture and, tell us about these snow cones. And I think that, of course, the picture they take is not that, hey, I'm just taking this just for a selfish moment, but it's like, hey, you know what? I love this snow cone. Y'all should go try it. So
Right, and
kudos,
I'm so
kudos.
grateful always when people post. I mean, I really am. I'm always like, "Oh, yay, that was this person, and they ordered this." Like, I always remember, exactly what people ordered, and I'm always honored when people post and tag and reshare and all of that.
Right, right. And so I guess for you currently now, I know you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook. So that's mainly your go-to pieces for marketing right now. Is that
Yeah,
right?
right now it is, and that was not my original plan, but it started off that I was just doing events for schools for the first
Mhm.
2 summers. I was just doing like during the spring, I would do things at schools like field days and things like that. And then it grew and I was like, I really, the setup and the breakdown when you're doing mobile events like birthday parties and all that kind of thing, the breakdown and setup is so hard. Like my generator weighed like 300 pounds when it was loaded with gas. So I couldn't ever do anything by myself. Nobody could ever set up by themselves. So that's why whenever I got the permanent location, I was like, okay, now I can really build business and really get our name out there and have like a real following. And so it's while social media is my main method of marketing right now, my goal was I'm going to go to schools, I'm going to give out like free snow cones to schools so they can use them as incentives at the schools, and then the kids will come out and they'll bring siblings and families. So that was my plan. Well, then, bum, bum, bum. Here comes the apocalypse of 2020. And that's all removed from the table. And I was like, how am I going to connect with this community? You know? And
Mhm.
so I knew that it was just going to have to be me building relationships, putting out an amazing product every single time so that it became word of mouth. And I've been in this area. I grew up in Cedar Hill. And I've worked in Cedar Hill, Duncanville, Grand Prairie, all ISDs. I have connections all over the area. So I'm like, I'm just going to have to get out people that I know and depend on other people to like love what I'm doing so they want to come out.
Right, exactly, and I think that's what you have done. I would say you've done pretty good at it because
Yeah.
it is bringing the people out, and of course, it is an important point that you bring up. Relationships is so key, and what better way to get people to your business than to have families come out because you have mom and dads that'll share with their children, and the children will share with cousins and other families, and so you're just connecting the whole vine of families and you're getting them to your establishment. So that is so key and
My snow
such
cones my snow cones bring all the fams to the yard.
an so important. And so very good, very good. I love it. I love it. And so um of course we've talked about this, but I guess you can maybe give some more details in it. The unique factor for your business. What do you think helps your business be so unique?
Well, we talked about relationships, but I think that every person who has a business has their own secret sauce. And like when I'm making that syrup, I literally like speak positivity into it, like out loud. I'm like stirring my syrup and I say, you're going to make so many people happy. And that sounds so crazy and so like ridiculous. But if somebody else is standing right beside me and they're making their syrup exactly like I do, putting the same exact materials, same exact ingredients, and they stir it exactly the same way I do, theirs is still going to be different than mine because I'm putting my energy, which I always want to come from a place of positivity and love. And I'm super hippie. And so everything that I do, I want it to come with an intention of positivity and love. And so what that's my secret sauce. And they can do the same thing, but their intention is going to maybe be different than mine. So theirs is going to taste different than mine. And people are going to leave their snow cone stand feeling different than when they leave mine because that's their secret sauce. But mine, I feel, is just a little elevated. I mean, that's just what it is. We are our own, as business owners, every business owner, we have our own secret sauce that makes our product different or special.
I would agree. And from what you're saying is you believe in your product, and it's not just a I'm just going to sell you this just to get this money, but you actually believe in your product. You want you want people to enjoy that snow cone. You want people to
Yeah.
smile as they eat that snow cone. It's kind of like, as you were just stating that, I was kind of visualizing like a mom or maybe a grandmother that's over the stove, cooking one of her great recipes, and she's putting all of this love into it,
Mhm.
and she wants her family to enjoy it. It's not just, I'm just gonna heat this up, I'm gonna throw it in the microwave. No, we know, of course, I'm kind of old school, but I know for myself, my mom, my grandmothers, they put their love and their heart into what they cooked. A lot of times they didn't even have recipes. They just knew it by, just knew it by heart.
Right.
And they would just cook over the stove. So that's what it sounds like you're saying to me, that, you make sure that, hey, you know what, I'm gonna put the best I got into this product
That's
because I want people to
exactly
enjoy
what
it.
it
I want them
is.
to love it.
Exactly, like, I just wanna create something that is special and different, and, I mean, it might be a snow cone and people are like, "It's just a snow cone." Yes, it's just a snow cone, but, like, I wanna put something different into it, and that's my soul, and I'm not I mean, while money, of course, in owning a business, money is important because that's what,
Yes,
brings home the vegan bacon.
of course.
But but at the end of the day, can you, like, stand on your 2 feet and say, "I feel good about what I did today?" Am I selling a false dream, or am I selling something that, really is gonna give somebody a feeling of happiness or whatever it is, goodness. I always want it to be from a place of goodness. And I don't want to just sit around and get rich on some trash. I want to get
Exactly.
rich, but not on some trash.
Of course, of course. You wanna make sure you put a good product out there, and so,
Right.
that's just what it comes down. I mean, it just is it all goes to, integrity. Of course, you never, no one should ever go into business to get rich or well, when I say get rich, I'm saying in a greedy sense. You don't just wanna
Exactly, in
just
a greedy sense. Right.
right. You just don't wanna throw stuff out there just because you want to make money, but you wanna make sure that, hey, the thing that I put out there is something good, and so I commend you. I think it's great what you're doing, and I know that
Yeah.
you love your products.
I
I know that
do.
I think that's just important for even our listeners to hear, even somebody that may listen to this podcast later. You want to make sure that you put your best foot forward. It's not just a selfish intention, but like you said, I'm intentional. You want to be intentional because I believe in this product. At the end of the day, when I've sold all my snow cones today, I feel good about it because I know I did my best. I put my heart into it, and hey, you know, that's just where it stands. So great.
Just a real quick addition, sorry
Sure, sure.
for interrupting.
No, no, no.
My mom, sometimes I'll be, like, at the ice machine and I'm making a snow cone, and I'll feel my mom looking at me on the side of my face 'cause, we always work together on Sundays, during the regular season, so she'll be looking at me, and I'll finish my snow cone, and she'll be like, "Do you realize that you smile the whole time that you're making that ice?" And I'm like, "I do?" And she's like, "You have a smile on your face." I'm like, "Well, it just makes me so happy." She's like, "You smile the whole time you're, like, putting that snow in the cup and you're" I don't know, it just makes me happy.
Wow. Well, that may be why the customers leave smiling because you put so much love and smiles into
Yeah, I
it. So
guess so.
my next question for you: what would you say has been like the highlight or greatest success for in operating this business? What would you say?
Hands down, my time with my family.
Okay.
My kids, my mom, I mean, we have, like, gotten a lot of time together and we've all learned together. I mean, my son, because not because of just because of the snow cone business. His dad has always instilled the idea of, owning his own business and not working for someone else and working for himself. And um, so those ideas were there, but him seeing the success and just the freedom, he like he's considering, some different things as far as maybe opening a restaurant of him for himself, or he's talked about buying his own trailer and starting his own, snow on the rocks trailer himself. And that's been really special. My daughters have really learned a lot about business and just the hard work that goes into it. And they help me. And just the time with my mom, when she retired from education, I was trying to get her to retire for years. She was eligible for years. And I'm like, when are you going to retire from being a counselor? Because really, I wanted her job.
Hmm.
I wanted her counseling job. And so I was like, retire. I want your job, which I did later get. And she's like, I said, what are you going to do when you retire? She's like, I just want to retire and be the salsa lady because she's been making this salsa for a million years. And I'm like, so really, we've gotten to kind of make her dream come true also.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty interesting. I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
hey, that's great. And you know, what business wouldn't be great without family support? So that's great. I hope you enjoyed today's show on today. I really enjoyed talking with Roxanne in regard to her business and her ideas and just her plans for her business. It was just good to hear the information that she had to share on this episode. And I hope for those of you who are in business, maybe you were listening to some of those key notes in regard to her stating, like taking that plunge, when you're at the edge of the cliff and you got all your dreams and your hopes, sometimes you just got to go for it and believe in yourself, because at the end of the day, it comes down to you achieving whatever goals that you want to do. So that was something key that she brought up. Also, excellent customer service. I can't state that enough, that if you can provide excellent customer service as a business owner or in business, you're going to set yourself apart from so many of your competitors. And people will just continue to keep coming back because they love how you treat them and they love the customer service that you provide. So that's really important. Also, relationships that she stated, relationships matter. You can combine that with networking. Those things are key in business. Getting with the right people, getting with people that have the same mindset that you have the same goals, or even some that even know more than you. Sometimes it's good to get with people that can help motivate you and inspire you to get to where you want to get. So those were some key notes and information that we shared in this show. In part 2, we talked with Roxanne about the salsa she sells, which is actually made by her mother. It's called Mama Ruthie's Aztec Salsa, and it's really good. We also talk more about her business and letting go of vices. Roxanne shares with us a personal vice that was hindering her in life and in business. We hope again that you enjoyed this episode and this podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to subscribe. You can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google, and even Amazon Music. Also, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at 24-Hour Boss. That's at 24HR Boss. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you on the next 24-Hour Boss podcast.